Hey Aries, this is your monthly tarot reading for Aries sun or rising sign for the month of October 2023. So we should be back on track for all of the videos that I normally put out, and that means that you should have the astrological highlights that should be up around the same time that these come out. So this month we're going to be talking about some cool astrology, some interesting astrology, I should say, getting into eclipse season, all that stuff, but that's all in the astrology highlights videos, so you can check that out there. This is a more extended reading of the readings that I put out monthly, so we are looking at the beginning, middle, and end of the month. I just thought that this deck would be nice and appropriate given the season, where we're at in the season. So we'll also be taking a look at what kind of challenge is coming up, and also any kind of spiritual advice that's coming along with that. So I'm getting the feeling to use this deck, which I haven't really been using for these readings, but I'm just going to go with it. So let's see what comes up for. This deck somehow feels heavier and thicker than it normally does, which is interesting. All right, and then let's take a look at some spiritual advice as well. I'm gonna go with this deck here. Looks like we've got all major arcana happening right up there at the top, so it's gonna be an interesting month for you guys. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting month. It seems like there's some needing to tap into your intuition for sure. Definitely a need to make some decisions from a different place than maybe you have been making those decisions. So let's get into it. We are going to take a look at how can we focus the overall month, in what context can we put this reading, right? Because these are collective readings. So I always say this, if you want to get really specific for you, that's where you want to book a one-to-one reading. So if you want to do that with me, the information is down below. So if this is a collective, or this is a collective reading, so if this doesn't resonate with you, it's not your message this month, no big deal. If this is your sun sign, go check out your rising sign. But let's get into it. So this overall reading is focused around your career, your life path, right? We're looking at the midheaven. This is that pinnacle point. This is the most seen point. This is where you are most seen. Has a lot of significations that the 10th house also holds. So yeah, career, life path, life purpose, but also I would say this is there's no hiding in this space. This is where you're most seen. So we could say your public persona, representation, roles, reputation, that type of thing. So all right, that is how we can focus this reading. So beginning third of the month, we have the Hanged Man, and then we have the Empress, and then we move into the last part of the month with the High Priestess. So like I said, all major arcana. I think that's really interesting. Usually I haven't seen actually a reading in a while where it's just all major arcana across the top. So I feel like this is going to be a significant month for you. We start off at the beginning of this month with the Hanged Man. So, this could be feeling a little bit stunted or pigeonholed or stuck in a position. And this is the need to turn things on their head and to really be able to look at your career life, your purpose, your path, right? For instance, through a different lens, to be able to flip things on their head. Kind of like when you used to, if you ever hung upside down on the monkey bars or on your couch or the bed at home when you were a kid, just to see the world from a different perspective. That's kind of what needs to happen here, is thinking outside the box, and maybe not necessarily doing things the way that society tells you that you're meant to do things, right? And so trusting in the downloads or the wisdom that you receive through your intuition, but we could also say through the whatever you call the divine, the cosmic, the universe, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. So wherever you receive those kinds of intuitive hits, those epiphanies, that kind of information, this is where we want to be really open to that and be willing to do things differently, right? So that's how we're starting out the beginning of this month. And I'm not totally surprised. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the astrology here. You can take a look at the astrological highlights video to really get a better sense of what is on the horizon, and that might put this into more context and make more sense for you. In the middle third of the month, we have the Empress card showing up, and I love the Empress card. I actually I really love the Empress card in this this particular deck. But we have the Empress card showing up, and this is really, I think, a progression and moving into stepping into your version of abundance and beauty and creativity, whatever that means for you, right? This is a card that is ruled by Venus. And so we have all of these Venusian type qualities, whatever your art is, however you get creative, right? Whatever that looks like in the context of your, you don't have to be an artist per se, right? In order to be creative in your chosen field or whatever your life purpose and path feels like. But this is a stepping into things in a very creative way. I also think that because you're needing to think outside the box, this is the next step in like things maybe becoming more clear about how you can look at things creatively, how you can approach things creatively, how you can do them differently, so that's what I see showing up here. Also, let's just remember that the Venus, this Venusian type quality, there is an owning of our value, of our self-worth, and really being able to own that and be present to that. Surround yourself with things that feel abundant and beautiful and move towards that. That's, I think, one of the really delicious things about the Empress is that she knows how to enjoy life. She knows how to really glean the beauty from the world around her. And so this is like what you're being encouraged to do as well. Remember that the Empress is also pregnant. She's pregnant with life, right? So this is just like, think about the most full, the most creative, the most inspired, the most, drunk on beauty that you can possibly be. And like, this is what we're looking at in the middle third of the month. So I think you're being called into that space, being called to embrace that energy, right? Whether you feel that way or not, it's really about stepping into and embodying this kind of energy. Maybe, I don't know why I just got this like hit. Maybe for some of you, talk to Venus, have a conversation with Venus. Now we've been out of the Venus retrograde and then there's the Venus shadow, but after the beginning of this month, we will be out of the Venus shadow, so free and clear, right? And so perhaps this is like make some petitions or have conversations or be inspired by Venus as well. So then we move into the last third of the month and we have the High Priestess. Certainly with the High Priestess, one of the things about her is that she's under like not in a building, right? There's an open sky above her. And so there's no barrier between her and the cosmic consciousness, the universal light, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, that she draws down into her, right? And she's also in a place to be able to be receptive and to understand the messages that are coming through and to understand her instinctual gut, like intuitive feelings, and to work with them and to go with them and to trust them because she's present with her life, right? She holds the duality between light and shadow, and she's present to all of it, right? When we're not running from any of it, when we're being present to all of it, when we're taking the time to have time alone, to be in a space of solace, to know ourselves more deeply, to know what we truly want, right? This is being in a place of like being super present to what you think, what you feel, what you understand about yourself and your desires. And also therefore, because of being like present to them, being real and accepting them as they are, you can more clearly understand and trust your intuitive hits, right? I hope that makes sense. So then we take a look at the challenge that's also coming up for you here, and we have fragmentation. So I don't know whether this has been leading up to this point, and that's why we're starting out the month with the need to be in this space, to look at things outside the box and from a different perspective, or whether that's going to be a part of the process that unfolds that feels challenging throughout the month. But this is the challenge that's showing up in the month. Obviously, we work with multiple challenges per month, just depending on the month, right? So we work with those. However, this one is more prominent, right? This is one of the ones that you're going to be more present to, that'll make itself known more. And so this feeling of being fragmented, whether that means that, pieces of yourself have been just like so strung out and stretched out into many different places, or you having to, or felt like you've had to be only certain parts of yourself in all of these different places. Some of that I think is just normal part of interacting with society and like our different friend groups and our different like social and work groups and all these different things. However, like there is this disconnect, right? And so when we're fragmented in that way, we want to kind of like be reminded of, it's interesting because it looks like these are fragments here that have come together. And so we look at like to the high priestess, we can think about this like bringing together of all of these pieces so that we can trust our intuition and trust ourselves. So kind of what I was talking about with this card is bringing together your thoughts, your feelings, right, and desires, and bringing everything together with like what's occurring in your life as it's occurring without resistance, and just being able to bring it all together so you have a whole picture as opposed to pieces that you're like piecemealing out or dealing with putting out fires, or that you feel like totally disconnected from different parts of yourself. You want to bring those pieces together into a whole, right? So that looks like the challenge. And, the advice that we get for that, I'm not surprised by this, especially like I really love how it's being mirrored here, because there's a similar kind of vibe with the Two of Swords here, which is the need to tap into your intuition, right? So it's not to say, the swords, yes, are about air. They're about our communication, our thoughts, right? Our beliefs in that way, all of these different kinds of things. But this is also one of the most watery of the swords cards. And it's really, she's holding this space, but it's not that she's making this decision between which path she's going to take or which paths she's going to decide on based on only what she thinks. She's trusting her intuition, not just because the moon is there and she's surrounded by water, but also notice that she's blindfolded. When we have, like, if you've ever just been blindfolded or played hide and go seek or whatever, like covered your eyes, all of your other senses turn up, right? You have to depend on all of your other senses, and they dial up the moment that we do that. So in a way, this is kind of like quieting the mind and not making a decision primarily from or only from your mind space, but also incorporating your feelings and your intuition into making this decision. This is a decision, these decisions, whatever is coming up, especially around career, this is meant to be done from a place that is integrated with not just your thoughts and what makes sense and logic, but then also your emotions and your intuitive hits, right? And bringing these together in a cohesive way. So I hope that this helps. Definitely check out the astrological highlights video for the first half of October so that you can get a sense of what's on the horizon. And then also any of the bi-weekly videos, those come out for the new to full or full to new moon. And yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.